Hello, everyone. This is Claire with Local Tasting Tours, and we're here at Pavia in the Central Library in downtown Halifax. We're here with the owners, Christopher Webb and Victoria Folger, and we're going to have a tasting of espresso, macchiato, and cappuccino in that order, increasing the milk content as we go. And we're going to talk also to our guest today, the owner of Atlantic News, Michelle Gerard. So we were just talking about the tea that Michelle is sampling, and this is from Tea Brewery in Mahone Bay. And what is the blend? What's this blend?
This was peppermint with licorice.
And we have some coffee grinding here in the background. I'm going to taste this espresso.
I'm going to tell you why you're not going to taste that espresso. Because if you ask the Italians, you're supposed to drink espresso like you eat spaghetti. Hot. Has to be hot. So that's been sitting there, and actually if you let that espresso sit, it starts to oxidize. See how black it is?
Yes.
And it's lost all its crema. Whereas the one that Shane is pulling right now will have a nice thick crema and have a nice caramel-y looking top with some marbling.
Yes, and you got this great bar here. Did people tend to do that, to come and stand and knock the back?
Yeah, and that's exactly why we designed this bar the way it is, because this is what people do in Italy. They come in, they take their espresso, they knock it back, and away they go.
Okay, no talking.
No talking. It's really, really hot and really, really good.
Half the reason why we opened Pavia is sitting right in front of you. An espresso, which is Maca Flor, which is what we import from Florence, and the ricciarelli, which is the soft almond biscuit from Siena. We've just saved you $3,000.
Okay. Oh my God. This is the softest.
I love the consistency of it. It's surprisingly soft, and I'm not getting the right words either.
It looks like it might be like a biscotti, drier, but it's not.
You have that lovely crust on the outside, and then it goes nice and soft on the inside.
These you find around Siena. You don't really find them anywhere else.
Victoria and I, we've been leading tours to Italy for like 7 years now, I think. You know, you sort of have these visceral experiences where you're sitting in the Palio in Siena in the big square. This is a real reminder. This is a real taste of Italy, like the mouth feel with the espresso. I'm going to have a bite.
Totally exquisite. Tell us a little bit more about what else you offer here.
Well, we have creative bakers, so we always have chocolate chip cookies and ginger cookies, and we have these beautiful gluten-free chocolate brownies made with Calabo chocolate. They are divine. Beautiful torta della mandorle, which is like an almond square. So again, it's a very traditional Italian sweet, only it has like a harder pastry on the bottom and then a softer almond top. So right now our bakery is making these tiny little shortbread things to go with cappuccinos. These little tiny lemon and chocolate shortbreads that just kind of like a melt in your mouth thing that you have with your espresso, and you put one of those in your mouth and it just dissolves. That's what people have for breakfast. So go in, get your cappuccino or your espresso with a sweet. That is your breakfast.
This decadent and beautiful little brownie slice has just arrived.
Yeah, really moist, very chocolatey.
Why don't we talk a little bit about Atlantic News? It's new stuff you have going on. So Atlantic News has been going for 41 years on Morris and Queen, and you, Michelle, have been running it for 20, right?
My husband and I started 20 years ago, and we bought the business from the original owner 17 years ago. My son was 2 weeks old, and I had a 2-year-old, so it was highly entertaining and very tiring, but very fun.
A real, long-standing, needed place in the community. And you want to talk about some of the new publishers you have in food magazines?
One of the things that we're starting to see, I sort of refer to them as new publishers. They're doing things very differently. Their print run may only be 5,000, but they are brilliant. Their paper quality is superior. The photography is exceptional. The writers are really good. I mean, in one way, they almost feel like a book. Beautiful pieces to read. They are a luxury to look at and stuff. So there's a number of new food writers that are out there and food magazines that are out there. One's called Lucky Pete. David Chang of
Momofuku.
Exactly. So that's sort of his baby. So there's a former associate publisher from McSweeney's. The three of them are now running this as an independent publication. No, it's far more literary than it is to cook from, than recipe. Unlike Gather Journal, which is out of New York, it's very recipe driven. So it comes out 2 times a year. It's a smaller publication, but they're very fun too. So one issue was my favorite one. It was their summer movie themed issue. The cover was actually Psycho. What they'd done is they'd taken this beautiful cherry pie and had slashed it with a butcher knife, and that was their cover. Yeah, it was very fun. And then there's Fool, which is out of Sweden. It's a husband and wife team. He's one of the world's best food photographers. They did a 20-page article on the cod fathers in Newfoundland.
Sorry, I just want to interrupt for a minute because we got our macchiatos.
It's an espresso marked with a little bit of milk, and macchiato is Italian to mark or to stain. So with our espresso, it has robusto bean, and when you add that little bit of milk, it brings out some nice, rich undertones of chocolate. That's why we bring it in from Florence.
Did you say we don't have to feel we have to finish everything? Because that might not be a problem.
Yeah, there's no question. I think we have a European sensibility. Our portion sizes, we try to make sure that what you're eating is nicely portioned.
And I think in general, I'd rather have something small that has really high quality ingredients in it, because you don't need a second one. If you've got something like this is so dense and rich, and I mean maybe you do need a second one, but we only use free range eggs from Cold Spring Farms in any of our products. For example, they're twice the price. We could just go and get regular egg, but there are certain things that we prepare to absorb because we feel so strongly about it.
It's not overly sweet. It feels like there's a richness to it, and yet you're not kind of like that cloying taste in the back of your throat that you feel, but it doesn't feel like that I've just been hit with a sugar shock. It's absolutely delicious.
The great thing about espresso too is that it has a lot less caffeine. Volume to volume. So if you were going to have a large one of our central roast coffees, for example, you'd probably need 4 or 5 shots of espresso to equal that amount of caffeine. We get our coffee locally roasted.
It's a Nova coffee that roasts it, right?
Yeah, Nova Coffee. They're great. Gary's great.
Gary's been around for about 30 years, yeah.
They do Uncommon Grounds, I believe, as well.
Uncommon Grounds, and he's got customers all over the Maritimes.
We knew what we were looking for our drip coffees, but we were able to do some tastings with him and kind of come up with a flavor profile we liked, and he does our coffees for us. But the espresso, we want it. We were trying to find something authentic, and we realized that if we're going to go to that effort, we may as well just bring in the real thing from Italy. So.
But people say, your espresso is not local, but coffee just isn't inherently local. There is no such thing as a local. Sure, you can roast it locally, but regardless, the coffee beans have been on ships and travelled across vast continents. This one way or the other, your coffee's making a huge journey. So we've actually just hired a chef, going to be working with people like Ratnord, a lot of the local farms.
It was really funny. Before we opened, we were doing some events, and someone asked us, so are you an international chain? We've never heard of you before. Our international headquarters is just down there past Spryfield, international headquarters in Herringo. But we're local, and we're really proud to be local, but we're also proud that most of our suppliers are local. So, torta di mandorle. We think of it as birthday cake, Victoria and I, because whenever a birthday rolls around, that's what we always want. So now we've unleashed it on the city.
It's an almond tart, if you want to.
Oh, right, you explained it before, yeah.
So that it's that pastry bottom with a soft sort of almond filling. It has a little bit of lemon in it as well. It is our favourite.
So let's just go back to Atlantic News for a couple of minutes.
So the most recent one that we've just brought in is called the Cleaver Quarterly, and it is a Chinese cleaver, so it is all only on Chinese food. It isn't about Chinese food necessarily in China, although that's, of course, it's a huge part of it, but it's where good Chinese food is being produced anywhere. So they're quarterly. They're also kind of cheeky, and yet they're passionate. All publishers would say that they're passionate about their product, but there's something about the magazines like Kinfolk, Cherry Bomb out of New York.
Yes, Cherry Bomb, which I noticed you carry, which is so awesome.
Cherry Bomb has to be like 200 pages, and again, twice a year.
So these are they're books,
and we all love a story. I mean, I want to know what your story is, and I got your story. Where does Pavia come from?
Cappuccino, yes. So cappuccinos are here too.
Cappuccino, we think we have the most authentic Italian-style cappuccino, because there's some great places to get cappuccino in the city. So, and cappuccino originated in Italy. Capuchin, they were monks, or are monks in Italy, and they were monks that had brown vestments and white hoods. So if you put cappuccino at the end of it, they mean little capuchins, and that's why when originally they would sort of have the brown top with a little white blob on the top.
That's totally fascinating.
Robusta is a very high quality bean as well, but it grows at a lower altitude and more abundance, and it fell out of fashion in North America. But in Italy, just like the Smurfs, they never went out of fashion, ever.
I noticed there's a different kind of latte art on each cappuccino on the table, so we have 3. There's a heart and a flower and a tulip or something.
It looks so beautiful, but it's actually very hard to master, to get the milk just right. I mean, the whole thing with designs on top of cappuccino is also to show you can't do this if you burn the milk.
Did I read on your website that some of your baristas were trained in Italy?
Who roast our coffee roast? They've been roasting since the 40s. It's a family business, and they have a little school attached to their roastery. 3 of us have been to that school.
If you ever get an email from me, it says barista, gallerista, artista, and then entrepreneurista.
In Italy, is the bar, the coffee shop?
It's a full bar. It's all one.
Maybe, some places in Halifax are taking a step in that direction, maybe like Lion and Bright. I ate almost all of that brownie and the Ricciarelli.
That's wonderful.
I'm sitting here sampling, oh yeah, that's really good. No, it's very nice, like I've never tasted them before. This is ridiculous.
maybe we'll ask our last two questions. Do you have a favorite local business that you like to support? Michelle?
I've gone to P'lovers for years. When I had little kids, there was things that I needed. If I have personal things that I want, I love P'lovers, and it's just a very inviting, warm space.
Rousseau Chocolatier. We went in and did a chocolate sampling with them very recently, and we took home one of every single kind of chocolate they sell in the store.
And there's no reason to be embarrassed about that.
Their stuff is beautiful.
And last question is a childhood food memory.
Easy. It's blueberry grunt. I'm sure it's known by many names, but that's how it was in our house. And I think my mom used the recipe out of the old Nova Scotia cookbook.
It's a little bit like crumble, but what's the topping?
No, it's a dumpling. Like you literally stew up the blueberries, you stick the dumpling on the flour inside, you put the pan on, and voila, you've got blueberry. Oh, yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, everybody. It's absolutely wonderful. So we have Christopher Webb and Victoria Folger from Pavia and Michelle Gerard from Atlantic News. And thank you so much for being with us today. Hooray! This is Claire with Local Tasting Tours. Remember, we do our open kitchen food tours every Saturday afternoon in the off season. So that's all for today. Take a tour, take a bite out of Halifax.
Undeniably true that I'm irresponsibly mad for you.